The Chicago White Sox have had all the highs and lows you can have without winning a championship. From the playoff run in 2021 to the horrendous start to 2024, I will be doing an overview of each season just to take a look back and see if we can figure out what happened to the Chicago White Sox. This video will look at every season from 2021 to 2024, and each season will be broken up into segments: the roster at the beginning of the year, the projections, the trade deadline, and the outcome of the season, and then the ensuing offseason. Without further ado, let's jump right into the 2021 Chicago White Sox season. In 2021, the opening day lineup was Tim Anderson playing shortstop, batting first, Adam Eaton at right field, Jose Abreu at first base, Yoan Moncada at third base, Yasmani Grandal at catcher, Leury Garcia at left field, Luis Robert in center, Zach Collins DHing, and Nick Madrigal playing second base. Other notable players that played for the team that season are Cesar Hernandez, Andrew Vaughn, Yermin Mercedes, Brian Goodwin, Eloy Jimenez, Gavin Sheets, and Billy Hamilton. Their starters were Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, Dallas Keuchel, Lance Lynn, and Carlos Rodon, while their bullpen consisted of Aaron Bummer, Garrett Crochet, Michael Kopech, and closer Liam Hendricks. The projections. MLB.com put out projections before the season and predicted the White Sox to finish third in the division with a record of 83-79. They also projected them having a 13% chance to win the division, and 3 of 5 CBS analysts projected them to finish first, with the other 2 projecting them second. Overall, after their solid 2020 season, the baseball public had hope for the White Sox. But would they pull through? The trade deadline. Their biggest deal was trading away second baseman Nick Madrigal and reliever Cody Hewer for Craig Kimbrell. This gave the White Sox an elite setup man for their elite closer Liam Hendricks. Madrigal was the bigger piece in the deal and was injured during the time of this trade, but was a top prospect with potential. The White Sox also traded away Bailey Horn, who was a 5th-round draft pick just the year before, and their 23rd ranked prospect, in order to acquire reliever Ryan Tepera. Ryan Tepera had been solid so far that year, having a 2.91 ERA in 43 innings. The final 2 moves the White Sox made were to acquire a backup catcher, Davey Grulin, for cash considerations, and getting Cesar Hernandez from the Guardians for a top 30 prospect in Connor Pilkington. These moves were a soft push for the division by the White Sox and addressed their needs in order to help fuel their playoff push. Their aforementioned playoff push was successful, as they won the division with an elite first half going 54-35 and stayed afloat for the second half with a 39-34 record. They had a team OPS plus of 106, which was tied for 6th best in the league, and they were also 5th in team ERA with 3.73. Their solid pitching and offense carried them to the divisional round, where they lost in 4 games to the eventual World Series losing Astros. Overall, hopes were high for this team, and the baseball world was waiting to see what they had in store for next year. The offseason. During the offseason, the White Sox did not have much to do except wait for their young guys to develop. They first added Kendall Graveman, a solid reliever who put up an elite 1.77 ERA over 56 innings the year before. The only other notable move they made was trading away newly acquired Craig Kimbrell for A.J. Pollock. This was the first of many mistakes made by the team, trading away one of their top prospects for half a year of Craig Kimbrell and an aging A.J. Pollock. Even after the mishap, the White Sox were ready to show the world next year and make a serious run for the World Series. The 2022 season. The roster. Their opening day lineup was A.J. Pollock in right field, Luis Robert in center field, Jose Abreu playing first, Yasmani Grandal at catcher, Eloy Jimenez in left, Leury Garcia at shortstop because Tim Anderson had a 2-game suspension to start the year, Josh Harrison playing second base, Andrew Vaughn as their DH, and Jake Berger playing third. Their other notable players were rising prospect Gavin Sheets, Adam Engel, Yoan Moncada, Sebi Zavala, and Elvis Andrus. Their rotation consisted of Dylan Cease and Lucas Giolito leading it, being joined by Johnny Cueto, Lance Lynn, and a young flame-throwing Michael Kopech. Their bullpen had Liam Hendricks closing the games, with the new addition of Kendall Graveman and Reynaldo Lopez being the setup men. Tanner Banks and Aaron Bummer were the other two main arms out of the pen. The projections. PECOTA, or PECOTA, one of the top prediction brands, predicted the White Sox in 2022 to improve upon their 2021, winning 94 games and only losing 68. Out of the same five CBS analysts, only one of them had them not winning the division, and they had them in second place. Expectations were high, to say the least. The trade deadline. The first and only move from the White Sox was trading away 27-year-old backup catcher Reese McGuire for lefty Jake Diekman from the Red Sox. Jake Diekman had pitched to a 4.23 ERA over 38.1 innings. This came as the White Sox were hovering right around 500, trying to make a push for the playoffs. The outcome. The Jake Diekman trade surprisingly did not move the needle, as the team ended 81-81, which is good for second in the AL Central. They did not end up making the playoffs, which was a big letdown considering the hopes for them to take a big step up. They ended with a below league average team OPS plus of 97 and ranked 16th in ERA at 3.92. Although taking a step back from the year before, they had some solid individual performances from the likes of Dylan Cease, who finished second in Cy Young voting, and Liam Hendriks from the pitching side, and a solid hitting season from Jose Abreu and half season from Eloy Jimenez before he got hurt. There was a lot of disappointment from the hitting side, however, particularly from Yoan Moncada and Tim Anderson, who both took big steps in the wrong direction. Despite a subpar season, not all hope was lost, and the Red Sox were not ready to give up on this core yet. The offseason. The main and only notable offseason move was when the White Sox signed Andrew Benintendi, who inked a 5-year, $75 million deal. They hoped to pair him up with Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez to make a formidable outfield trio. This showed the White Sox fanbase that they were avoiding a rebuild and believed in this core. However, they lost longtime White Sox legend Jose Abreu in free agency. With this fairly equal trade-off, the future was up for debate for the White Sox. 2023 season. The roster. The opening day lineup was Tim Anderson batting first playing shortstop, then Luis Robert Jr. in center, Andrew Vaughn at first, Eloy Jimenez at DH, Yoan Moncada at third base, Andrew Benintendi in left, Yasmani Grandal behind the dish, Elvis Andrus at second, and Romy Gonzalez in right. Other notable players for the team were Oscar Colas, Gavin Sheets, Jake Berger, and Sebi Zavala. They ran a 6-man rotation for a lot of the year, with Dylan Cease and Mike Clevenger being the top duo. Kopech, Giolito, Lance Lynn also got a healthy amount of starts, and Tiki Toussaint bounced in and out from the bullpen. Speaking of the bullpen, Kendall Graveman moved to the primary closer role after the unfortunate cancer diagnosis for Liam Hendriks. Gregory Santos was a surprising 23-year-old reliever who had a bit of a breakout year, and the familiar faces of Reynaldo Lopez and Aaron Bummer were the other two mainstays of the bullpen. The projections. Again, PECOTA projected the 2023 White Sox to not be too good and have a record of 78-84, which was third in the AL Central. PECOTA also predicted that they had a 10.4% chance to make the playoffs. All of the now 6 CBS analysts predicted the White Sox to be third in the AL Central as well. Safe to say, the expectations for the White Sox were lower than they were for their disappointing 2022 campaign. However, there was still hope with the new face of Andrew Benintendi that this season could provide a playoff push. The trade deadline. The White Sox were big sellers at the deadline after a disappointing first half. The first move they made was to acquire Mike Mayers from the Royals for cash considerations. This was a somewhat questionable move for the White Sox, but an inconsequential one. Next, the Angels acquired Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo Lopez from the White Sox for the Angels' second and third prospects in catcher Edgar Quero and lefty Kai Bush. The next move the White Sox made was trading away Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly for Dodgers number 9 prospect Nick Nastrini, unranked Jordan Leisure, and outfielder Trace Thompson. The White Sox also traded for Luis Patino from the Rays for cash considerations. Patino is a former top prospect but has struggled to catch on in the major leagues for a while now. He has also struggled with injury issues for his entire 4-year career. The last couple of moves they made was trading away Jake Berger for Miami's number 4 ranked prospect, lefty Jake Eder, and traded Keenan Middleton to the Yankees for pitcher Juan Carrilla. Carrilla is in high A at age 21 and is now the 27th ranked prospect in the White Sox system. Overall, they were the biggest sellers at the deadline, and it was a necessity to rebuild their farm system. The outcome. As you could probably guess by the deadline fire sale, the team ended up 61-101, placing fourth in the AL Central only behind the dreadful Royals. One of the only bright spots on the team was Luis Robert Jr., who put up a 129 OPS plus. Pretty much everyone else on the team had disappointing seasons except maybe Andrew Vaughn, who was league average, and Mike Clevenger. This season was the peak of the downfall of the White Sox, and many thought it could not get any worse. The offseason. After the disappointing season, the White Sox were not going to be incredibly active during the offseason. However, they did manage to make a couple of decent moves. The first of which was signing Eric Fetty out of the KBO. He had been awful before the move for the Nationals, but won KBO MVP and signed a 2-year, $15 million deal in the offseason to join this talent-starved White Sox team. The White Sox also traded Aaron Bummer to the Braves for a plethora of players, including righty Mike Soroka, lefty Jared Schuster, infielder Nicky Lopez, infielder Braden Shoemake, and right-handed pitcher Riley Goins. Mike Soroka, Nicky Lopez, and Brandon Shoemake all made the opening day roster, while Schuster and Gowins are both in the minors still. 2024 season. The roster. They had the disappointing Andrew Benintendi in left, Yoan Moncada at third, Luis Robert in center, Eloy Jimenez at DH, Andrew Vaughn at first, Paul DeYoung at short, Kevin Pillar in right, Martin Maldonado at catcher, and Nicky Lopez rounding out the lineup at second. Their other notable players are Gavin Sheets, Robbie Grossman, Dominic Fletcher, and Corey Lee. Their rotation consisted of Eric Fetty, Garrett Crochet, Mike Soroka, Chris Flexen, and Jonathan Cannon. In their bullpen, Michael Kopech has been moved to the closer role, with Devi Garcia, Dominic Leone, and Jordan Leisure being the other high-leverage arms. The projections. All 6 of the CBS analysts put the White Sox finishing last before the season started, and the over-under from FanDuel for total wins was 53.5, while Fangraphs projected them winning 66.7 games. At the time of recording, they have started the season off at 3-20, good for the worst record in the MLB by far. They have the worst team OPS plus at 63 and the third worst team ERA at 5.14, only in front of the Rockies, who play at Coors Field, and the Astros, who have an entire rotation on the IL. The conclusion. It has been pitiful watching the White Sox play baseball this year, and if someone told any MLB fan in 2021 that this is the path that the team would take, the fan would look at you crazy. It sucks to see a great player like Luis Robert Jr. get prime years of his career wasted there, and hopefully they can turn it around or trade him for his own sake. The White Sox downfall is a mystery, as it seems that the majority of their players from that 2021 season just had fluke seasons. The future is not all bad, however. They have some young studs acquired from their fire sale over the past year who could end up being White Sox stars in the future. And Luis Robert is still really good if they don't decide to trade him. As to why the fall happened, my guess is as good as yours. But if I were to take a shot at it, it would be because of their fall off of Tim Anderson and their leadership issues. They brought in Tony La Russa in what seemed to be a good move before the 2021 season. He successfully managed them to that 2021 season playoff push, however, faced massive amounts of criticism in 2022 for being bad in the locker room and making poor managerial decisions. In the midst of the 2022 season, La Russa had a heart issue which ultimately led to him retiring. Obviously, I wish Tony La Russa the best in his battle with cancer. Another issue regarding the clubhouse is when Jose Abreu left after the 2022 season to the Astros. Jose Abreu is well known as one of the best guys in baseball and carries a veteran leadership that almost no one has, and that the White Sox still lack to this day. Whether it was just a poor clubhouse atmosphere or just fluke seasons, the fall off of the White Sox from 2021 to now just shows how unpredictable baseball can be. Thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.